All right, hi guys. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about food chains. So we talked previously about how all living things need a way to get energy, either by eating it, something else to obtain the energy that has, or by creating their own. So food chains keep track of, in a specific ecosystem, which is a system of life within an area, how the different living organisms in it obtain their energy. So, you guys have a couple of handouts with your stuff this week. You have this guy, which says Forest Food Chain, that you can follow along on when I get to my whiteboard here. And you have this here that is a couple different primary producers, or decomposers, and the sun. So in the end, what we're going to do, once you guys are done with your biome work, you're going to use the big pictures that we had for your biome work, and you guys are going to create two food chains, one for each biome of your choice. So you can pick two biomes to do, or you could do two food chains within the same biome to make a food chain for that biome. If you are in second grade, you are also welcome to make a food web for a biome, in which case you only need to make one, and you can research a little bit outside of these animals if you need to as well. So, I'll explain what a food chain is in a second. We're going to go back to this guy. So we said that all living things need to have a way to get energy. And when we were talking about that, we talked about autotrophs or primary producers, which are things that create their own energy. They don't get it from another source. They create it. So that can be things like plants, single-celled like bacteria or organisms, and a couple other things. But those are the two we're going to focus on. And plants is really what you're going to find in a lot of the ecosystems that we're working with. So that means that over here on the map, we have the sun and water. That and carbon dioxide is what plants take in to make energy through photosynthesis. And some single-celled organisms have a similar process where they also will make energy that way. So you start out with your primary producers, which are your plants or single-celled organisms, and then those are eaten by a primary consumer. In this case, on your guys', it's a beetle, and I drew a beetle on mine as well. But those are typically herbivores, not always, but herbivores are organisms that only eat plants. They don't eat meat, they don't eat anything that's not like based in plant material. So typically those are herbivores. Then your secondary consumer is, I wrote carnivore on mine, it's typically an omnivore or a carnivore that eats your primary consumer. So in this case, my mouse here, or rat, is going to eat my beetle. However, it could also eat the plant material on the primary consumer. So sometimes food chains can get interesting depending on how many steps you want to add to them. But in this case, my rat there is going to eat my beetle and continue up our energy. So the beetle got its energy from the plants got its energy from the sun and the water, and the mouse is going to get its energy from eating the beetle and other things. And then your tertiary consumer is a snake on yours. So the snake gets its energy from eating things like the mouse that have eaten the beetle, that have eaten the plants, that have gotten their energy from the sun and water. So then you have another consumer. You have another tertiary consumer on yours. It's a hawk or an eagle, some sort of raptor, that eats the snake, that ate the mouse, that ate the beetle, that ate the plant, that got its energy through sun or water in the process of photosynthesis. So each of these different levels is called a trophic level. That's spelled Trophic for trophic level. And then other things might eat the hawk. Not typically though. It usually dies of some other cause because it's kind of the top thing on this food chain. So when it dies, it falls to the decomposers to take care of it and to bring it back the energy and stuff that was in its body back into the environment for the cycle to start all over again. So decomposers are things like fungi. The detrivores, which are kind of in the decomposer class, are things that eat dead things like vultures or scavengers, and other things that break down that waste material from something that has died. And then the decomposers break that all down, and they put those nutrients and energy back into the soil and into the earth, and then the plants can then use it to make more. So everything in this, it's not only a chain that goes together, kind of like if you guys made a paper chain where one thing connects to the other, it's a cycle. So it goes around. So all living things eventually die and come back into the earth and become energy for the next group of living things, which is pretty cool. Now a food web would look a little bit different. A food web is not erasing as nicely as I thought it would. Has multiple food chains in it. Now, if you are in first grade and below, you only have to worry about making a food web. A food chain. You do not have to make a food web. If you are in second grade and up, I want you to make a food web. A food web has a lot of different trophic levels and different primary consumers. So, food web starts out with, let's say, grass is our primary producer here. So let's draw some grass. And then maybe that beetle eats the grass and is our primary producer. Give him some legs there. There you go, beetle. And then the mouse eats some grass seeds. Hello, mouse. Eating your grass seeds. Delicious. Erase that secondary either. And then the mouse can also eat the beetle. But a spider could also eat the beetle. And then that spider could be eaten by an even bigger spider. In this case, that spider could be eaten by something like a weasel type of thing that goes hunting. This is not going to be the best drawn weasel. I have dogs. Be a cuter weasel. Okay, sort of a weasel. Seen by that, this guy could then get eaten by a snake. Or could get eaten by a cat. I'm not talking like domestic cat here, I'm talking bigger like bobcat or such. Or, and this cat and snake could also eat things like maybe a rabbit that is eating things on my food chain here. Rabbit, rabbit, rabbit. So that could also get eaten by the snake, the cat, and then we could have maybe an eagle or something up here. Just flying eagle. Great art here, guys. This is what you came here for, was the art. Could be eating something like an eagle. So that eagle could eat the mouse, the rabbit, the snake, the weasel, and in some cases, if it's big enough, could maybe eat some type of cat. But we're going to leave it there for that one. And then, in the end, they all would come back down to our decomposers. Because all things in the end do die. And that decomposer would give energy again back to the primary producer. But it gets a lot more complicated because in a food web, you look at all the different things in the ecosystem that eat other things. So that's what we have for food webs and food chains. Now, if I wanted to for this one, I could follow a specific food chain. And my food chain could be my primary producer, my secondary consumer, which is my beetle, tertiary consumer, spider, tertiary consumer, weasel-looking thing, and tertiary consumer, the raptor, or the cat. But then I can also look at the web as a whole. So, what you guys are going to do, like I said, once you're done with your biomes work, is you're going to cut out which primary producer you want, which decomposer, you could always do both, and the sun. And then you're going to cut out which animals from which biome that you need here. Some animals do crossover biomes, so if it's not quite a specific one, but you wanted to say use the cougar for your grassland, that would be okay because they do also live in multiple environments. And you're going to put them together. You can connect them with string. You can connect them on a piece of paper and draw a line in between each one. You can make a poster, kind of whatever you want, and you're going to connect them together to make a food chain. And you're going to label your producer, your secondary consumer, primary consumer, secondary consumer, and tertiary consumers. And you're going to label them and draw the arrows in between, kind of like we have on this guy, but for your animals to see how everything connects. And I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks.